partway through May, and I want to talk about something that has been on my mind and interesting to see as I'm growing into that leadership position. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, Max Pears, lead level designer. Absolute pleasure for you to be with me today, whether it be morning, evening, or night. Whenever you're listening to this, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me. Yeah, it is now May. I am absolutely shocked how quickly everything has gone in terms of the speed of the year. Like, Jesus Christ, where has it all gone so quickly? Yeah, as I'm recording this, it was only yesterday GTA 6 announced that it's been delayed, which is yeah, quite interesting to see. Just where the whole market of games, will we see things now pushed back? I guess we'll never know in terms of some internals. Will it be pushed forward? Who knows, right? It's quite a big ripple throughout the industry as a whole. And yeah, really what I wanted to talk about today, instead of a traditional sponsor, what I'm offering now is that of joining the mailing list. Social media is constantly changing all the time, as we're seeing some people are leaving Twitter, others are choosing to remain, Blue Sky, Threads, all of this. So it's really hard to reach out to all of you incredible aspiring and current game devs. So what I'm offering here is that of a emailing list. So if you want to be kept up to date with all of the great level design news, as well as get your free guide, which is my 10 tips towards better level design, then please join the mailing list. You'll be making sure to get 3 emails a week with me sharing that of different resources, ideas, as well as what I've learned through my career and some Q&As. So if you're constantly looking to improve level design and instead trying to figure out where all this information may be, then look no further than the mailing list. Check down in the description below to join now and get that of your 10 tips to improve your level design. As many of you know, it was the end of last year where I became a lead level designer. We've talked about a few things with that and the transition into this new role. And kind of another thing I wanted to share, I was listening to a really great talk where it was an interview between Cory Barlog and Neil Druckmann, and them talking about being in their positions, right? Which is especially Druckmann, man. Like, I don't honestly get how, and this is not said in a disrespectful way. This is more like how this happens. But he has such a pivotal role in so many places that I'm surprised you let that happen, because I've seen it in other companies where each role he has is so important, must be a ton of work, and yet, you know, like, he's able, must be able to do it, and it's incredible to watch, and got huge respect for both men, and, you know, only can dream of careers like them, and hopefully one day that can be the case. But, you know, just so much respect for them and being in their how do I say, positions. But they're talking about, like, one of the things they're learning in when they switched over to that of director, creative directors, head of studios, all these kind of elements. And I think the one that really stuck to me was that I believe it was Neil who basically said a lot of the time he finds with new directors that they are the ones basically stopping new ideas because they feel as directors the best ideas, or the ideas that get put forward, should only come from them, right? And I think it comes from a position of it being new, you feeling as the director, you're the one who constantly being asked for answers, etc. Like, it's quite a challenging one in terms of letting go as well, because you're letting go also of actually being interactive with the game. I think that's always one of the most interesting things for me, as I'm seeing more and more younger developers come through there, and I was no different, I'll admit that, rush to become into a leadership managerial director role. And I'm always like, man, like, slow down. Just because people are getting seniors much quicker now. And I don't necessarily think that's because of quality. I think it's more down to because principal's now a route. It's changed a lot in terms of what is senior, right? What is the quality of senior? And from that as well, I always try to recommend to people, and I can't remember who, I think it was actually Barnaby Zola, who is a director at Ubisoft. He'd mentioned essentially to me that, don't rush to get into leadership because then you stop actually making games, especially in the AAA space, right? And I think that's really important. Is like, I know everyone wants to get there. Obviously, money is such a huge important part of it because game dev, for the most part, is not paid particularly well, especially in your early days. So for people to want to get there, I understand, but also just really enjoy the fact you get to have a actual impact in shaping of the game. But yeah, the whole point of being, like I said, letting go of ideas is something that I noticed in myself, where it's a tough one to do. Simply, when I say that, it's not as in tough for your team, or hopefully it's not tough for your team to pitch incredible ideas. I've been on one side where I've constantly pitched ideas and been told no, and the other side where ideas have been pitched and I've sadly had to say no, and it's nothing to do with bad ideas or anything. I think one of the hardest things for me that I'm learning in a leadership position is the element that when you are in leadership, the other side of it you have to consider is you are also in that form of production, right? A lot of producers are not looked favorably on. I'll say I've not worked with many many good producers in my career either, but there have been some incredible ones. And as a lead, you have to focus on making sure the game comes out, right? That the game releases. That is on you and production. And one of the saddest things that I'm seeing as a lead is you eventually hit a point in the project, as many of us know, where it's not about new ideas. It's not about going to create something super new. It's about small ideas that you can get big wins out of, especially when you're closing. And it's something that, again, like I say, it's a bit of a challenge where like I said, I'm super happy to have team members be able to pitch me ideas and share them. And sometimes, like, I'll need maybe a couple hours to think on them, because when people are pitching ideas, they're normally thinking about it just in their avenue, unless they're more senior developers, because they understand that there is a snowball effect when you're pitching ideas. What other teams do we need for this? It may be quick on your side, but what are the bottlenecks on other disciplines? And as I said, when you start to switch to more of a closing phase, it is a real shame, because you want to figure out a great way to, how do I say, be able to encourage this, but let them know, hey, we're at that different stage. I had a really good conversation with Alex, who is the creative director on the new Mafia game. And it was a great conversation as we were talking about one of the missions that I was working on. And he funny said, he's like, oh, Max, I feel like every time we come into these reviews, you're constantly pitching us ideas and all we do is say no. And he says, it's not because we don't appreciate them. It's because there are some things where my views didn't align with the company's design direction, which is understandable. And also it was due to time and money, which is, it's something that people forget about, right? And it's not always the fun, sexy part of design, right? Like, or game development, that we need to, make a profit, stay around, stay employed, and we need to make sure that what we're servicing or what we're getting our money out of is really the big bang for the buck, right? And I've really, really, really appreciated that conversation, because to me, it showed that he was listening. He showed that he was appreciative of this, but there was an alignment issue, and that if I wanted to share more or pitch more, I had to consider their views. And again, that's something that I really do, again, appreciate. And where we are with the project I'm on now, I can't say anything about it, but we're on the further side. And one of the kickoffs I had before is like, look, guys, this is no longer the time for pitching ideas, not because I don't want to hear them. It's because we've just got to finish this. And I really appreciate everyone's ideas and that. And, getting the team to be aware of those possible issues, because I've seen and I've heard stories where people have pitched ideas and then others have like made a snide comment, others have laughed, and that's not what you want. You want to build a culture for ideas. A friend of mine was just telling me how there was a study going on with like not just game development as a whole, like what team percentage should it be for the best possible outcomes, and it was actually 60-40, 60 senior developers and 40 newer junior kind of developers, right? And that's quite interesting that it's almost that even of a split, because right now we're seeing a lot, I would say, a lot less junior developers right now, and it makes me very sad because there's all these people studying, paying for university degrees, colleges, courses, and no guarantee of anything right now. And it's interesting because I'm hearing, I'm not sure about many of you, just on a side note, about the work difference between Gen Z and other generations, right? And I was saying to someone who's telling me about some of these stats that like, oh, the youngest person I've recently worked with is 28, right? I don't think their class is a Gen Z at all. So even as a lead, I would love to have some more young blood inside of my team. Again, that's out of my control, but I appreciate more developers, more younger developers there, because also when people are pitching ideas, sometimes it is really hard, especially right now, right? We're all seeing people like, as of recording this, I think it was only 3-4 days ago, the announcement about EA Respawn, what's that, 300 to 500 jobs I think I read lost. It's really hard as an older developer to not become jaded and just see it as a job and just see it as your 9 to 5. And that's not what I want. Like, hell, it's a goddamn Saturday. It's absolutely beautiful outside. And I'm here talking about video games with all of you because, like all of you listening, I'm super goddamn passionate about this, and I want a team to be super passionate. And it is hard to sometimes balance that, is what I'm really expressing with all of this, right? The fact that we have, how do I say, we have to hit deadlines, and sometimes there are points in production where it doesn't work with those deadlines, investing in something new, right? And again, if people can see great glimpses to make things better in terms of small tweaks with systems you already have that don't have a rippling effect, then, or if it does, it's very minuscule on other teams, then that's amazing, and that's what we all want, and it's great to see when those happens. But I think it's about honest conversations, sharing it like I shared with the conversation I had with Alex. And it's those sort of things that I really respect. And as I said, I've been in a lot of meetings, especially when I was younger, constantly pitching ideas, this, that, da, 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 da. And, I was very fortunate. One of my leads that I respected growing up, Daniel Molnar, who's been on the show, and he'd said to me that he viewed me as one of the more creative people on the team at the time. And I was like, absolutely not. No way. But I had space to do that. And that's what I want to try and encourage with my team and just be conscious of, right? It's a very hard thing to do. It doesn't always mean it'll happen. But I just want to share with you also that, like, maybe when you're pitching ideas, understand more of the cost. Because it took me a while. It took me till I was well into intermediate level, right? Like, if I do this, okay, how many days of animation is it? How many do? And like, each place is different, right? Like, when you pitched an idea at Ubisoft or CD Projekt, for me, it was you made like a quick prototype, right? You could quickly see it. You didn't have art. Maybe you had some form of art, but it was maybe more blocky. Some reused VFX, right? But over at, for example, with Ninja, they were very much like, we want you to prototype something to like the final product so we can all see how it would look, right? And that takes time from other teams. So if you're prototyping to that detail, to that standard, then it better, better make sure it's that high quality and it works that way. And it's those sort of things to consider, right? And it's just asking other teammates that you're working with, right? Just asking, how long do you think this would take? Why does it take that long? So you can understand it further down the line. These sort of things. And again, does it tie in with this theme and style of the company, of the project? All of those come into it, right? And all of this to say again is, as the element I was talking about with Neil Druckmann, don't feel that as someone in management all the good ideas need to come from you. What you want to build is that of a team where everyone gets to pitch fucking great ideas, right? Like, again, there's some things where you want feedback, and you might be at the stage of the project you can't address that feedback, and those are really hard conversations, and ones that I really, as I said, hate having to do, because you're seeing someone so frustrated, and you have to, help them understand what the system's already in, but also allow them to know, like, yeah, you can vent to me, you're right, this is wrong, or you're right, we can hopefully look into this, or encourage them to make notes, so next turn around we can go through and try address as many of these as we can possible, right? All these elements here are really, really important. So to me, that's something that I just think is, again, like, encourage the team, build a space for it. Like, it's hard, I will say, just in general, being a lead. Like, I watch so many GDC talks, so many TED talks about leadership. Just finished a book called Radical Candor, very good book, a little bit dry, but very good. Tribal Leadership, it was this hard book, Leaders Eat Last, like, Jesus Christ. But that's a story for another time. But I've read all these things, watched all these things, and the one thing I think that they all miss out, especially in leadership with games, because I've seen it at many studios, the studio I'm at as well, where as a lead, you're not just leading a team, you're still contributing to the development of the game, right? I'm still involved in making levels. I think I have the same amount, maybe one less than the others of my team, right? That's quite a lot to do that, have all the meetings, all those things, and that's not spoken about a huge amount. But the thing that, to me, is really important, even though it doesn't, like I said, they don't talk about the element of trying to deliver something and be a good lead, because they don't always go hand in hand, right? Like, you want to encourage your team to grow, you want to aid them, because if your team is better, if your team is a place where you feel that you can all trust one another, hey, guess what? It only makes your life easier, because you can delegate much more clearly, and no results are going to be made. You know that how they communicate and represent themselves is aligned with how you as a lead want to be seen in terms of the team to other teams, and that building strong relationships with other teams is super important. And yeah, I think it's that's the challenge, right? Like, it's not always that easy, that simple. As I said, you have to think about closing. And I really, like, switching from principal to lead, I really envy or look back now fondly on the time as principal being able to, yeah, here's that idea, here's that idea, here's this new one I thought about. And even if I got said no to, I could still, versus now having to be on the flip side to think about, okay, well, does this idea work? Yeah, actually it does. Or does this, will this have cost on production time? Can I speak to a producer about it to get that extra time, right? And again, all part of the job. I just think it's something I just want to encourage for people moving on. When you are having team meetings, when you're hearing people pitch ideas, encourage it. If you're not a fan of it, point out some design flaws. Don't let it be snide, don't let it be disrespectful, but say, hey, we don't have time for this, but I think the idea is really good. Or, oh, sorry, I interrupted you, please finish. Let them sell the whole idea to you, because yes, if you distill it down, it doesn't sound as cool, but if you're able to let them express themselves, they'll appreciate it, and they know that this is where they can keep pitching more and more great ideas. So yeah, everyone, this is my kind of a little thought ramble, something that, as I said, I'm trying to learn from. I hope that you find this. I hope you're seeing more ways for you to express, whether that being someone to support in a team environment, or being able to push ideas to others out there, that when you're thinking about them, you can confirm what they are and think really about production costs. So yeah, everyone, take care. Thank you so much again. If you want to get in contact with me, you can at leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. You can also reach down to us over on Twitter at MaxPairs or Blue Sky at MaxPairs. We have a mailing list, so if you want to get other more great resources, that's 3 times a week. Sign up there. We have the books that I've written. They're actually wrong side. They would be above here if we could see it, and the level design kit as well. So thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Take care. I'll catch you all next time.